Hello everyone and welcome to a new Gaming Academy tutorial. In this guide I will show you a golden rule for each lane to win your trades and games much more often. But before I start, I would like to wish you all happy holidays, good health and everything you wish for. As you know, all lanes are different and all roles are played differently depending on the match, but there are certain rules that you must follow in all matches and which I will show you now. Let's start with the role of ADC. ADC stands for Attack Damage Carry, a term that got carried over from League of Legends, and the main goal of this role is pushing towers and dealing ridiculous amounts of damage late game, usually with basic attacks. But what happens when sometimes we don't get it? You don't have to worry about ADC, it's a role that requires playing in the team, and it might not be your fault many times. For this role the most important thing is the CS. CS and again CS. Killing minions increases one's creep score or CS, as it is commonly called in the community, in League of Legends. CS is one of the most effective methods to earn gold in the game. This number is on the screen between the player's KDA and the timer in the upper right. The more you give last hits and collect more gold, you can return after the first recall with a much better item than the enemies, and you can take advantage of the lane. Most marksmen show their true potential somewhere in the mid-game to late game where they truly become carry. You don't have to make kills on the ADC and take them as a gold bonus. You might as well win the game just by having a lot of CS. A warning here is to pay attention to which team does level 2 first. Because it is very dangerous and many ADCs run for level 2 to engage and try to knock down the enemies from the first minutes. A good wave management on the bot lane and a good last hit mechanic will help you to be the first to level 2 and completely dominate the lane. But if this doesn't happen, it doesn't mean you did something wrong. Stay defensive and keep collecting gold because your time will come in that game. Another personal recommendation here is to play the ADC you know best. It's true that you have to make certain combinations with your support for a better gameplay in lane, but it's in vain if in the mid-game to late game phase you don't know how to get the best out of that champion. So I recommend playing a champion that you can handle throughout the game. Now that we have clarified it here, let's talk about the support role. As the name suggests, the support has the role of helping the team and especially the ADC. Supports can be the primary engage, be a late game carry through enchanters, peel for their carries and so on. Supports will also be involved in most objectives and are the primary vision controller. Supports are also good at impacting other lanes and helping the jungler. Therefore, what the support role lacks in mechanics and resources, it has to make up in game knowledge and brains. When it comes to rule number 1 that you need to know on the support, it's about vision control and having an impact on the map. First, you can push for vision control so that your team isn't walking into the fog of war and risking their lives for nothing. Besides that, the support can also be seen as a secondary jungler. The roaming support has a very big impact on the map due to the roaming on mid, jungle or even top that it does during the early phase. In conclusion, as a support you must ensure as much vision as possible in the most vulnerable places on the map and help your team if needed by roaming. These two essential things for a support, once done properly, you will be begged by the ADC players to join them in matches. In the center of the map is the mid lane role. And I didn't say that for nothing, because the main rule when it comes to the mid role is to use your presence in the center of the map. The mid lane is the most important lane in League of Legends. As such, the mid laner plays a pivotal role in how the game pans out. Players in this lane have access to solo gold and experience, and their central position allows them to impact all parts of the map. Being alone in the lane and closest to your teammates as a mid laner, you have to be very good at roaming. You must master this mechanic as if it were your ace up your sleeve. Use a slow push to get a big wave of minions into the enemy tower to give you a roaming opportunity to help your bot lane or jungle. In this situation, you will force the enemy mid laner to follow you and lose the whole wave of minions, gold and experience, or not to follow you and stay in the lane. In both cases as a mid laner you have already gained an advantage. But that's not all. In the first minutes of the game always keep in mind the fight for the crab on the river. In most of my games as a mid laner, I am always present to support my jungler on the river, and in most cases we win this trade. This is the first journey you must do, after which others must follow. The role of mid lane is very important, and it is one of the hardest. You must always have an advantage of level and items to get the maximum damage to win the fights and to obtain objectives. The more you succeed in roaming, the more the enemies lose patience and start not paying attention to the game, which is obvious and gives you a free win. For this role, I uploaded a few days ago a special guide for this, which I recommend to understand how this role works. If you like my content, subscribe to the channel to be up to date with the latest guides that will prepare you to become a monster in Season 14 of League of Legends. At the same time, let me know in the comments what is your number 1 mistake for the role you play and which you think you make most often. I'm very curious about your answers. For me as a top laner, it's that I don't keep my wave management right, and I'm aggressive, which is not so great. But since we brought up the top lane, let's see the golden rule for this role. And the surprise. Wave management is the key to winning the top lane. The thing I often do wrong as a top laner. Now you're going to ask me, but shouldn't everyone know wave management? Yes, everyone should know wave management, but on the top it is essential and I will tell you why. For good or bad, it is the role that interacts the least with the rest of the map. Top lane is largely about lane manipulation to set up for ganks, tower dives, or being safe from them. Which means you will get less help from the jungler, and you will interact less with the team during the laning phase. What would be great here is to know wave management. For example, if you're in a hard winning matchup, being able to punish your opponent through wave management is extremely important, guys. Not only do you put him in difficulty and leave him behind, but you also force him to call his jungle for help, which will leave the other part of the map uncovered, and your team can put pressure. Do a slow push to push him into the enemy tower, while letting your jungler know you want to dive. If this gank succeeds, not only do you get a kill, but the enemy also loses all the wave and experience, remaining completely behind. The most important thing is not to get caught up in this strategy and to intuit in advance what will happen. What is the enemy's goal? To make a slow push to follow a dive, to give a recaller to roam. You always have to be one step ahead of the other top laner to win the lane. Moving on to the jungler role, I want to tell you that here the job is more complex, but I will give you a piece of advice that helped me a lot. You have to play for your win condition. For example, if a lane is lost and you notice after a gank or two that you can't help him anyway, all you have to do is go to the lane that does the best and that will win the match. Playing for your win condition is a tactic used by many junglers who have a win rate of over 60%. At the same time, don't lose sight of essential things like objectives and monsters in the jungle. You can make many successful ganks, but for nothing if you fall behind. Your level and items must be at least equal to that of the enemy jungler or even better, otherwise you will not be able to last in the teamfight. For a jungler, every second counts, clear as quickly as possible, and try not to waste time running around the map right from the start. Ping the team to let them know that you are going to take the crab from the river and don't miss this monster. It is very important for your progress in the jungle. You can gank after opportunities in the match between jungle camps. Try to be always present with the mid and the roamings that he does, and try to enjoy every mistake of the enemy jungler. In many matches the jungler makes the difference, so a great responsibility falls on your shoulders. With that being said, I've finished this guide, but everything is much more complex in Rift, so don't hesitate to leave me any questions, any opinions, and tell me what you think is the golden rule for the lane you play. I am also very curious about your opinions, so don't hesitate to leave them in the comments. I wish you a beautiful December and see you at the next video. Thank you very much for the number of approximately 600 subscribers in such a short time, and I am very happy when I see that you appreciate the work I put into these guides. I am grateful for all the support given, and I hope we grow and form one of the most beautiful communities here. Good luck in the new season. I promise I'll be with you with the best guides for what's to come. Enjoy the holidays and leave the game for a while, and I'll wait for you with fresh strength in the new season. I will keep uploading videos for you guys, so don't forget to turn on the bell to stay up to date with them. See you in the next video.